Good morning. Excited to be here at Media Day. That means we're here at the beginning of camp with a season upon us. It's an exciting time. Really excited about this football team. Excited about the work they've put in. Going back to January, all the way through July, done everything we've asked them to do. Made significant improvements in a lot of areas in our program. There's obviously some things that you track, some metrics and things like that, but this is it's a different football team, and it is every year. There'll never be a team like this again. There's never been a team like this from before, and it's a phenomenal group of young men. I think this team has tremendous leadership. Going back to 19, I thought that was a player-led team. I feel like this team is the same way. A lot of great things going on in our program right now. This is a group that's really, really close. They've been through a lot together. They trust each other, which is very, very important. I love what we're doing in all three phases of the game. I love the buy-in from our players. The possibilities and the potential is very, very exciting. With that being said, we've still got a lot of work to put in. But I like where we're at. I like where we're heading. And just very excited about the season.
Questions? Wags.
Bill Wagner from the Baltimore Sun and the Annapolis Capital. Coach, last year you showed improvement, but you still did not reach the primary goals you set: winning record, Commander-in-Chief's trophy, bowl game. How important is it this year to make a major step forward and hit some of those marks?
Really important. That's the expectation around here. To win at CIC and go to bowl games is something that we should be doing every year. That's a realistic goal for us, and that's what we want to do. Those aren't things that we're talking about a whole lot. We're talking about the day-to-day around here. Our mindset and our mantra right now is 1-0. Had position meetings this morning. The goal is to go 1-0 in that meeting. We're going to go out and practice today. We're going to go 1-0 in the first period, then the second period. We're going to come back in the evening. We're going to get a lift in. We're going to go 1-0 in that. And so we're going to focus on the process, and that's what these guys have been doing. Knowing that the byproduct of doing those things is going to lead to the results that we want. We talk a lot about deserving success around here. It doesn't mean you always get it, but we're going to do everything we possibly can to deserve that, and these guys have done that up to this point.
Second half of that question before I pass the mic, what in your mind is going to be required to make those improvements? I think you've talked recently about minimizing the self-inflicted wounds, and obviously the offense has not been up to par for what Navy fans have expected over the years.
Yeah. It's not just offensively. We got to get better in every phase of the game. But yeah, obviously we came up short of what our goals and expectations were last year, and I think a lot of that was self-inflicted. I think these guys would agree with that. But got to improve on offense, and I think we've done that up to this point. I think the job that Coach Carnick's done since he got here in January has been pretty phenomenal. Love what we're doing schematically. I think it gives us a chance to win. But at the end of the day, it's not what we do, it's how we do it. And I love the way our guys are going about their business and the way that we're doing things right now. And so, yeah, have to get better offensively. We have to be a team that can run the football, possess the ball, keep our defense off the field. Obviously have to take care of the football. And we can't have, some of the self-inflicted wounds that we did last year. Can't have pre-snap penalties. There's playing penalties, there's holding calls that get made. You're playing hard on defense, there's a late hit that gets called, things like that. I can live with those. What we can't live with is pre-snap penalties. So we got to clean that stuff up. We've got to be fixated to details. We've got to be a disciplined football team. And at times we weren't that last year. And that's not Navy football. And so we've got to get back to that. And excited about the players we have coming back. We've got a ton of players that played a lot of snaps around here, and they know how to win. So we've got to get some of those little things cleaned up and just continue to get better day to day, and we're doing that.
Gene, and then Randy.
Hi, Brian. Gene Wong, The Washington Post. Just from a pure coaching perspective, what were some learning moments for you last season in year one that you can kind of use and adapt to this year to get the results you want?
Yeah. would win football games around here, right, we've got to be elite in the intangibles, right? We've got to play harder than everybody else. We've got to be a more disciplined football team than everybody else. And we talk about being fixated to the details. And just going back to my point earlier, we weren't that at times last year, and that's on me to get that corrected. And so that's been a tremendous emphasis for us. If we do those things, what's going to be the edge and the difference for us? There's things we do schematically to give us a chance. We're unique and different in what we do. And we've got to be an extremely disciplined football team. We need to be the least penalized team in the conference. But just getting back to the things that the formula for success around here is to run the football, to eat the clock, to take care of the football, to be a smart football team, and to be opportunistic on defense. That's the formula that's never changed around here. You learn a lot in your first year, obviously. The margin for error is so small around here, and you certainly can't afford to beat yourself at the Naval Academy, and we're not going to be a team that does that.
For Colin, the defense was, stout in the red zone last year, opportunistic in creating turnovers. Just what do you see from that unit this season that kind of gives you optimism that you can do it again this year?
Yeah, we know what we're capable of, but we have plenty of things to continue to work on. This is a great opportunity to work on elite things we talk about that are extremely important for our winning culture that we're trying to develop, and we're just going to continue to do that.
Randy, then John.
Coach, you talk about running the ball and how important that is, which is close to a lot of people's hearts with this program. But the passing game, when you have to pass, the short to intermediate style passing, have you seen the things out of this offense early on that you really wanted to see that'll make it a 8, 10, 12 play drive type offense?
Yeah. I would say that's probably been the thing about this offense that I've been the most impressed with. When you think of a wing T-based offense, the passing game is not something you really think a whole lot about. But the concepts that Coach Cronny has in the passing game, whether it be the short, quick passing game or the play action boot game, is really good. It's given our defense a lot of problems going back to spring ball and just the spacing. The concepts are really good. He's got answers for everything. So if you're going to crowd the box, you're going to take away the run game, then you're going to have to deal with some pass concepts that are very problematic. He's done a lot of different things at a lot of different places. You look back most recently at Mercer. They evolved because of personnel. It's one thing that he's shown the ability to do a great job of, is to be able to adapt and evolve based on who his players are. But he's done some pretty sophisticated things in the pass game, whether it be RPO in that world, which we'll do some of that as well, but just the boot and the play action game off of the run game concepts is really hard to defend. I think Colin would vouch for me on that. So it's good stuff. Really been impressed with that part of it. And we need to have answers when people are doing certain things and ways to attack them, and we have those right now, and I feel really good about that part of it.
For you guys as a defensive staff, how nice has it been on a day-to-day basis to see different things that challenge you, where you're not saying, well, I know they're going to do this, or you don't really know at this point?
Yeah, it's really good. We haven't used a tight end a whole lot around here in the past, and that's something we're going to do. We'll have a tight end on the field all the time, and so to add those, three-man surfaces, wing sets, some of the shifting of the O-line, things like that, it's a problem. It's good for us to see on defense, because we see some of those things in conference play. It's a little different, but you see a lot of different formations, which is good for us.
John.
John Pernay with Ion Annapolis. For the captains, what specific goals have you established to work with the squad this year, and how do you plan to affect them?
Well, one of these things that we've talked about is having a winning mentality, because the past few years we haven't been winning a lot. So just instilling that, like, practice to practice, making sure that we're starting out fast too. And then we always talk about, going to a bowl game, CIC, all that stuff.
Just a culture of accountability. We know what it takes to win. We know what we have to do to get it, so that's what we're going to do.
Questions? Scott Wyckoff.
Scott Wyckoff from WBAL Radio and the Navy Radio Network. Blake, what have you seen in the evolution of this offense from the spring now into fall practice that you guys are really embracing?
Yeah, I think in the spring, especially, when you're learning a new offense, it's all about just getting the basics down. Where you're supposed to be. Coach Cronk says a lot, assignment and alignment. Where are you lining up, and then are you doing your assignment? So I think the biggest thing that we talk about in the summer a lot is once you learn it, you got to start making plays. Blocks may not be there. You got to make a guy miss, things like that. It's about developing our playmaking, I think, is the biggest thing, is once you get into, knowing the plays and knowing where you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to block, where the ball's supposed to go, and it's sort of adapting on an everyday basis because, it's not always going to be, prepared, the look you're supposed to get. We're going to see things that, we may not have prepared for, may not have seen before from our own defense because it's really innovative. But the biggest thing, I think, is just learning to keep growing and developing our playmaking as an offense.
And Daba, in your fourth year, what does it mean to look at the guys that are all around you offensively and to see all the players right down the depth charts that really build such a strong offense with so many people that can step in for different people?
Yeah, it's great to see because having depth, a lot of great teams have great depth. So if we have a lot of young guys being able to do their jobs well, then it helps us older guys too because it creates competition. So it just fuels a fire for our offense for sure.
Questions? Wags.
For Coach New, and then I'm going to go to Blake, but real quickly, what did Blake do to separate himself from Braxton in that competition? And in your mind, as we go into, training camp, is it still a competition?
Sure. Every position is a competition right now. The thing that I think Blake did a great job of in spring was just his grasp of the offense. And thing that I was really most pleased with, I think he's comfortable with what we're doing. I think he's suited to do the things that we're doing. I think he's done some things in the offseason to make himself better. Certainly has developed into a better passer, changed his body a little bit. He's healthy, but he's a cerebral young man. Can read defenses, sees things well, and I thought what he showed in the spring was an ability to improvise, to extend plays, and to make plays. To his point earlier, it's not always going to look the way you want it to look. It may not be there, but he did some things, showed some savviness that got me really excited. It's just his grasp on the offense, his ability to improvise and make plays, extend plays, and just his awareness of where everybody's at on the field, getting people lined up. I think he's very comfortable with the system already.
Before I go to Blake, follow up on that. When this program has gotten elite level quarterback play, whether it's Keenan Reynolds or Ricky Dobbs or Malcolm Perry, it's tended to do well and have a good season. How critical is top level quarterback play going to be?
Yeah, well, it's critical everywhere. Obviously here, but yeah, if you nowadays if your quarterback's not a really good player, it's hard to win football games. And I think we've got two guys that we can win with right now, and we're starting to create some depth here in camp, and we've got a few weeks here in front of us to create that depth. But I certainly feel good about not only Blake but Braxton as well.
And Blake, what did you feel like you did in the spring to earn that position atop the depth chart, and what do you have to do to keep it?
Yeah, I think like Coach Newberry said, it was just preparing, getting to learn the offense and becoming comfortable. Coach Cronk does a great job at teaching us exactly what his vision is, I think. So it's easy to see what he wants when we're out on the field looking at the defense and about to run a play. So I think the biggest thing was, like Coach Newberry said, I felt comfortable and I was able to be free, it felt more like, and make plays instead of acting like a robot, I think is what a good term would be. Is sometimes you get stuck doing the same thing, thinking that you have to put my foot here, run here, and do this. But sometimes improvising just makes you feel more free and sort of can run the offense better. And I think the biggest thing, and keep leading this team, is just keeping that level of comfortableness for our offense, being a guy that people can come to and ask for questions. How can we do something better? And just getting the ball in the right spot. Like you said, there's not many teams you can name that don't have a quarterback that can, run the offense effectively. And, if they can't, those teams are at the bottom of their conferences. So we need to have quarterback play on this team where we can get the ball in the right spots and make good decisions and not turn the ball over.
Keith Mills.
Yeah, Keith Mills, Navy Football Radio. This is for all four guys, and it's the passing of the leadership baton from one class to another. Obviously, Colin and Daba are the captains this year, but Justin and Alex, obviously, big leaders onto this team. What does it mean to be a leader and a captain in this program, man? Some tremendous student athletes have come before you. What does it mean?
Yeah, it's an absolute honor. To be a captain of the Navy football team means everything. Grateful for coaches and teammates that picked me, picked Daba. It's an honor, but it carries a lot of weight, and we want to leave this place with a culture and just winning. So there's a lot on our shoulders, but we're ready for it, and we're excited.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Like, it's an absolute blessing because it's not the coaches, it's the players that feel inclined to pick us. So it's definitely honorable, and bringing back a winning culture is one thing, and leaving a legacy, and that will go into the next class too, the next set of captains too.
Yeah, I agree. It's an absolute privilege to have the honor to be able to represent the team, and having the guys trust you and believe in you to be able to guide them and show them a way of a winning culture and type of mentality we need to bring each day.
It's a broken record, but it is an honor, and I'm sure you've probably seen some like the meet the mid things that Strauss does with us, but every single one of the guys on the team, if you said like who embodies Navy football, they'd probably say Daba, Fofana, or Colin, Ramos, and that is like who they are as people and as captains. So, that I think tells the most. That question in that questionnaire that he gives us, but it's just the ability to sort of bring the best out of our guys and establish the culture that we want to build and that we want to change.
Meet the Mids is one of the great things in the history of sports information, by the way. One last thing for me, and Colin and I actually talked about this a couple of days ago. It's a little different question. Nathan Kent, his performance in the Olympic trials last month. I'm sure you guys watched it. I heard there was a lot of texting back and forth amongst you guys. Anybody want to comment on what he did and how cool it was that he had Navy on his shirt at the Olympic trials?
I mean, Nate Kent, he's electric, man. I mean, we were talking about him, and when he's out in the field, I mean, you're looking to throw it deep. But his performance, I mean, just representing our football team, I mean, I think he ran, 2 times and broke the school record both times. Like, it was just insane to watch. And, I'm sure he wanted to be in the Olympics themselves, but, we're glad to have him back here, honestly. But I think he couldn't have made the team more proud. And that's just who he is. He's a great human being, great guy, so we're all proud of him.
We've got Pete in the back, and then Joe, then Randy.
Pete Medhurst, Navy Radio Network. Justin, throughout your career, you've been surrounded by other great players at your position. Guys can get discouraged at times, not necessarily getting as many snaps as those guys, but as you've been fed each year, you've excelled. What's been the key to doing that and rising to that occasion each time your name was called?
Yeah, so Coach Volker always talks about no matter where you are on the depth chart, you got to treat yourself like you're the starter. And so that was the type of mentality I had every time I got reps out there. I never saw myself as like a backup. To me, when I had great leaders above me, I tried to play on the same level as they did. And I think that helped me improve my game physically and mentally, to be able to know and understand the game of ball. And I think that helped me allow to be better on the field.
Blake, last year injury took football away from you for a while. What was the key? What did you lean on to get back to the level where, once again, you're competing for the job that you had a chance to win last year before injury took it away from you?
Yeah, I think the credit goes to the strength staff, the training staff. I mean, after my injury in October, like a month later, I was back doing rehab, back in the strength room, working on the, keeping my strength and the rest of that. So, every day at lunch with Jim Barry and our old trainer, Abby, they were great in helping me out and getting me back to where I can finally feel comfortable, like gripping a football and just with all of that and running the offense, like you said. So it was tough during the end of the season last year to be on the sideline and not being able to participate, but it allowed me to just get a new perspective on things on the team and just able to see where there were some shortfalls within our culture and how we can make that better.
Joe Miller, Navy Radio Network. This is for you, Justin. We often describe you as sort of having a nose for the football, fumble recoveries, and just being on big plays. Do you see yourself as that kind of player, and is there any sort of special knack that you've noticed, or this ability that you have to make some big plays like that?
Yeah, I never try to overcomplicate things. I just try to do my job, and when you do your job, the ball just shows up there. And so, I'm grateful and fortunate to be able to make those plays and then have those opportunities to make plays. But for me, I try to keep it as simple as possible. Just doing my job, just doing my 1/11th out there allows me to play fast and allows me to be successful on the field.
You mentioned playing fast, and I've always amazed at your motor. You never given up. Where does that come from you? Where is that motivation from?
I think it was just since I was a kid. I never treated things to do, taking the short way out. If you want to be successful, you got to do the hard things. And every day we go out to practice, it's full speed. We talk about elite all the time. And I think you show that with your effort. And so if you practice that and show you like the elite that you have, it makes it 10 times easier in the game. So when you get into those tough situations, red zone, and you got to have those big stops, you just don't give up on those plays. It never comes into my mind that I need to take a play off. It's just you have to keep going. You have to make those plays, because if not, someone else has to pick up your slack that you're leaving out there. And I think that's what we talk about trust. The guys out there, they know I'm gonna go out there and do my job, and I'm gonna give it all I have. And without that, I can have the trust in them to do the same.
This is for Colin. As a defense, can you talk a little bit about being physically relentless and how important that is, not only as a defense, but that can be contagious. And that spreads through an entire football team.
Yeah, again, like we've said plenty of times today, elite is the foundation of the team, foundation of the defense. You got to fly around to the ball. You have to be physical, especially games like Air Force and Army. It's the most physical game in the country. And the most physical guy will win, ultimately. So it's everything for a defense.
For those who do not know, when they say elite, that means effort, attitude, and toughness.
That's what I bring to journalism. Coach, Keith Mills mentioned Nathan Kent. The first time he ever touched the ball was explosive play, but really since then he's not been much of a factor. How do you utilize a guy with world-class speed?
Yeah, well, you got to find ways to get him the football. And, there were a couple of plays last year, and I think Nathan's done a great job in the offseason when he wasn't on the track. I know he spent hours and hours out on the field, on the jugs machine, catching the football, and he can certainly knock the top off of coverage. He's got to continue to polish up the way that he runs his routes, and I can see some early improvement on that already, and has all the ability in the world to get himself open, to knock the top off of coverage. You just got to finish those plays, and he's shown the ability and shown flashes to do that. We just got to do it on a more consistent basis. But really excited about Nathan. I mean, a phenomenal young man, a worker, a smile on his face every day. He's going to give you everything he's got, and he's just going to continue to get better and better.
Questions? Gary.
Gary Lambrecht, NavySports.com. Brian, when you got here in 19, obviously as D coordinator, I mean, everyone remembers Malcolm Perry just blowing defenses up. But very quietly that year, you kind of established this defense as something new with all the improvements they made. And through a lot of tough times, that just keeps on keeping on. You're replacing personnel, your scheme, everything about it keeps you hanging around a lot of football games. And, you need the offense, obviously, to catch up a little more. Can you reflect on your start here and how it's transitioned to PJ and how this thing just keeps working? Your defense,
Well,
that
I
is.
think some of the things that you hear Colin and Justin talk about within that culture that was kind of created on that side of the football, of the brand and the style that we play with. And you combine that, and we had to buy in early with that, with kind of the uniqueness of what we do. When I got here in 19, I knew we needed to be different on defense. We've always been unique offensively in what we do here at the academy. It's an equalizer. We wanted to find ways to have an equalizer on that side of the ball as well. And so I think it's the culture, it's the effort that our guys play with, the relentlessness, and playing an unselfish brand of football. When you step on the field on defense, there's an expectation, and our guys have done a tremendous job of holding each other accountable to what that looks like, and it's different. You turn on the film and the way we run the football. I don't think there's anybody in the country that plays as hard as we do on defense. So that's what sets the tone. And I think what we have right now, we've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of snaps together, and we've got what we call a lot of four-dimensional players on defense that. For example, Ray Lane and B.D. Williams in the back end played a lot of snaps together. Those guys kind of know what each other's thinking. And so when you have that continuity, and not only as a staff, but with your players, it's a nice combination. And so I think we're in a really good place. I think we're playing with a lot of confidence right now. I think those guys really trust each other. And we talk about your 111th. And Justin hit it on the head, and the rest of those guys said the same thing. It's just about doing your job and trusting the guys around you. And I think we've got that culture on defense right now. And I think, Coach Volker and I have been together for a while, going back to Kennesaw State, and we built the system out together. I think, one of the best things about getting promoted, maybe more excited about being able to promote PJ to defensive coordinator, because I think he's exceptional. If I was to take over the defense again, there's a lot of things I would do that PJ's done, some changes that he's made, just in the way that they meet, some things that they do as a unit. I think he's exceptional. He's a high energy guy. Our players love him. They feed off of his energy, and he's creative as well. And when you're a coordinator, you want to have some creative freedom in what you do. And I was allowed that in 19 when I got here, and I've allowed PJ that too. And I'm still involved on that side of the football, obviously, because I love coaching defense. But he's done a great job, and not just with the scheme part of things, but just the culture on that side of the ball is as good as it's ever been. And it's just every year it's kind of built on the previous year. And it's just the same system, and it always evolves. There's always new wrinkles and those kind of things, but the base is the base. The culture's never changed there. And so really excited about the guys we have coming back and where we're at right now.
Joe Miller.
This for Coach. 3 games at home to start the season. How important is it for you guys to sort of hit the floor running this season?
Yeah, it's important to get off to a fast start. And I don't think we've done that the last several years. For whatever reason. And so, what we talked about in the first team meeting is, listen, guys, this isn't spring ball, all right? This isn't the time to focus on just the technique and the fundamentals. We have to have a sense of urgency to get ready to play a game. We're getting ready to play a game right now. And so you've got a lot of new faces, and we've got a good group of freshmen. Like, we're not slowing things down to teach the freshmen. They're playing catch up, and that's just the way it is around here. So, yeah, it's critical, absolutely critical, and I like the way the schedule plays out, particularly early. Having the 3 home games, and starting off with Bucknell, and then getting Temple at home, and then the team that got picked first in our league coming in here week 3, after a bye week, it lays out well early, but absolutely critical that we get off to a fast start, and our guys know, and there's a different sense of urgency about that right now.
One other thing for you, there's a lot of change going around college football right now. You're a little insulated from that here, but you still feel the effects of it. You've been around this, you played college football, you've been a coach in college football at a lot of different levels. What do you hope people still remember about college football, that the powers that be, how important, what message would you send them about what college football is at this level and at different levels?
Yeah, so I think this is maybe the best job in the country for a lot of reasons, and we're still truly a developmental program. And the beautiful thing about football is all the things that it teaches you. It truly is. It's a microcosm of life, and just the lessons that you gain from playing the game, and it's the ultimate team sport. And so I think life's all about relationships, and experiences, and the relationship part of things is a beautiful thing about playing team sports. And I think my message is, keep the main thing the main thing. Why do we all get into coaching? Is to make an impact, to pour into the lives of these guys outside of just football and X's and O's. And I think a little bit of that can get lost in college football right now. You think about the transfer portal and what teams look like with rosters flipping, not just year to year, but semester to semester. And so not to lose sight of why this game is so great, and we still have that here, which is one of the many reasons why I love coaching here at the Naval Academy. Hope I answered your question.
Keith.
Hey, along those same lines, let's maybe Daba and Justin in this one, anybody really. I know you guys got friends that have been in the transfer portal or talked about leaving where the school they are. You guys could have left after your junior year, but you didn't. Why?
Well, at this program especially, the brotherhood is so much closer here than I feel like at any other school. So just being able to play with 160 brothers instead of just 160 players is something that I've absolutely loved here, and that's kept me here.
Yeah, I feel like this place here is definitely the most unique anywhere else compared to in the country. And the culture that's established here, it's greater than football, what we do here. We're being set up to learn life skills, leadership skills that goes beyond football. And having those opportunities to be able to gain that experience helps just drive us to be even better football players. And I feel like for us, that's something that we're able to use as a strength on the field from all the experiences that we had just being as an academy and as a midshipman.
Questions? Dave Preston.
Dave Preston, WTOP Radio in Washington. Question for the coach and the players. You guys have Army in your backyard, sort of Landover as opposed to elsewhere. What does it mean to be playing the season finale so close to campus as opposed to Philadelphia or Foxborough?
It's convenient. I don't care where we put the ball down for that game. Play in the parking lot doesn't matter to me. But I guess it's nice to have it close by. And as nice as the facility was up there last year, it's a little further away. But it's good to have it kind of in our backyard.
You guys have anything?
I mean, I think he said the same thing. It doesn't matter where we play them. We'd play them in the parking lot for all it matters. We'd play them, at a high school field. It's not where we play, it's who we're playing and the type of game that is.
Questions? I hear the young man.
Hi, I'm Tyson Pack. I'm with Ion Annapolis. Coach, what I understand, Alex Texa, your fullback, he had 126 carries for 758 yards. So I was wondering how you plan on to pursue your running game and mix with your passing offense and trying to build like a steady offensive drive that you can drive down the field quickly, score, and then get right back on defense.
Yeah, he's a very important part of our offense. He's a really good player. The great thing is we've got several of those guys. I could name 4 or 5 guys that have that kind of playmaking ability. So it's good to be able to spread things around and keep people off balance. And the great thing about Teska is he's a multiple threat, right? Catches the ball well out of the backfield, has some position flexibility. He's playing B-back for us, but he can line up in the slot as well. And so just finding different ways to get him and a lot of these other guys the football. It'd be hard to key in on one guy in this offense.
I've got one for Daba and Blake. For the first time since the mid-'90s, the quarterbacks and fullbacks are in the same meeting room. What's that dynamic been like, and how do you think that helps both position groups? Daba, you can go first.
Yeah. I've loved it because I get to know what the quarterbacks are thinking when they make certain reads or if they pull the ball and maybe I don't agree with it. But like understanding what they're thinking, it puts us on the same page, and then just learning football too, because from Coach Jasper, he's a very intelligent coach, and just learning more about the game in general, especially because a lot of us have a passion for it just outside of our position too, just learning the game of football itself.
Yeah, it's great. We got a lot of great personalities in that room, I'd say, so it's great to bring them all together. We have a great time in there too, but like Daba said, Coach Jasper and Coach Cronick are great at what they do, And those meetings are, they teach us a lot, like we said, about what each other is thinking, and we like to bounce ideas off of how we can make a play better, what we can do better, and just how we can evolve as an offense. So it's great. I enjoy it.